I'll bet you can hear me now. Ooh, I'll bet you can really hear me now. Thank you, Matt, in the chat for letting me know. This is just a few quick words to test until you can confirm that you can actually hear me. Check, check. There we go. I was saying, this is the first stream, and so the setup is a little finicky, and I'm not quite used to it yet. So this is perfect, actually. It's absolutely perfect that error happened, so it won't again. It was an error in OBS. I just didn't have this mic activated. I think I had my camera mic, though, activated, so you might have heard me a little bit. Oh, man. Only left channel. Hold up. How about that? Wait, no, now it's only left channel for me. This is testing the channel that it's coming out of. If you have a minute, did that change anything? It should not have changed anything, but... Testing. Yeah, still only left. That's interesting. That's something I'll have to fix going into the future, I think. Bummer. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for being here, man. Where is the audio settings? Bum 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 bum. It says it's on stereo. That's so weird. Huh. I'll check that and we'll see if that changes anything, but it probably won't. Sorry if it's just out of the left speaker for this first stream. I'll just be it'll be just like one half of an ASMR stream. Oh yeah, I love this microphone. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm just gonna start over from the top and get going here. I was actually hoping, because I've had a little bit of a creative day. I've got some work done. I'm going to try to back up. I turned the levels up a little hot. Let me turn them down. There we go. I'll turn them back up when I move away and move towards my screen. But I've had a bit of a creative day, but there were a lot of things I was creating, a lot of smaller things instead of just one big focus thing. And I was actually kind of hoping that it would be that I wouldn't be able to create anything, that I was going to have like just total writer's block, so we could just start from nowhere and make things happen. And I don't really feel like I can create nothing, but I feel like we can still start at that point. So if you're not having any creative fire inside you right now, we can make it happen. I was thinking today of the analogy of a propane grill. When you start a propane grill, you turn the gas on, so you hear the and then you press this button. This is our grill that we have. We press this button, the pilot light button, and it goes like as the sparks begin flying. And so we'll press the button down with the gas on. It's like it only takes a few tries to get it going. And I feel like my brain is the same way. We're just going to throw some sparks at ourselves to get started. I have somewhat of a basic idea of what we're going to be doing. Just a very basic idea. But I want to make a city. And let me just write that here. That's all I've got. I want to make some sort of city. And you don't have to make a city. And I'm realizing now that you might not have the link to the story wheel, which I will post in the video description after, but I'm going to create this as if I'm working alone. And I want some direction. I think I kind of want this city to be called Orden. And it's going to be a city in Sursaline in my homebrew campaign setting of Enkea. But the point here isn't necessarily to make a city. The point here is to think of a place in your world that has some sort of that the characters, the main characters, the party in your tabletop role-playing game, a place that they travel to a lot or travel through a lot. So like the main town that they're always in, the main tavern. It can be a single building or a shop. Maybe they're drawn to this arcana shop or something like that, or this mystic that's been sending them out on quests. Maybe it's an entire, maybe it's a small town or a monastery, wherever they spend a lot of time. If you're doing a sci-fi game, this could be a home world. Like maybe their base is on Tatooine. So, you know, obviously a planet is bigger than a city, but again, the point here is to give some life to a place the characters are going to be again and again and again. And in the same, by giving it life, we're also going to be giving it a lot of plot hooks. That's why this video is called the Hook Hub. The city is going to be the hub for all these plot hooks, so that no matter what the characters are doing on their main quest, there's always going to be stuff going on in this city pertaining to its people that will allow for secondary quests, offshoot quests that can arrive naturally and yet still and not be denied by the players so readily. Oftentimes, when we think of side quests, we think of things that take us away from the primary quest. We don't want to do that here. We want to create secondary quests that contribute to the primary quest or happen alongside the primary quest so that the characters can do a lot in one session. Hey, what's going on, James? And I'm just going to, okay, so I'm going to put my pen down really quick, and I'm going to do what I do when I want to make something, which is I just kind of like sit here, and I take some breaths, and I look at my bookshelf, and I look at the different dice I have, and I look at the binders that I have on the shelf, and I see one that I might want to use later on. I'm looking down, and I see these creative cards. This is what I want to use. This is what I looked at and just blew my mind. Blew my mind. Lit that fire, right? That was the all right. The grill is lit. These are Intuiti. I don't know if that's Intuiti, I believe is how you pronounce this. It's Italian. An Italian-based company created creative cards based on tarot and other kind of symbolic things. And each card is very beautiful. So I'll just show you a few of these. Like, so we have this one. I can't see the camera, but I have a few. I'm not entirely sure what these ones look like. I'm just going to keep going until I feel like I want to stop. And it's actually going to be this one that I'm going to look up in the little booklet to see kind of what it says about it. Set those cards away. Okay, cool. So the first thing I see is a lot of different triangles, right? Red and yellow triangles. I'm not so much, I know, right? Hubs are one of my favorite things as well to design in the game, because it's like a gift that keeps on giving. I'm not too on these cards. I'm not always so visual with them. Like this one, it's got like feathers dropping through a ring. I feel like I could come up with something there, like a story. But this is very abstract, the triangle. So I am actually going to dive right into this booklet. And I'm just going to see what number 306, card number 306 says. and we'll just go from there. One morning she wakes up, and still in her nightdress she goes to buy paint pots. The blue of the eyes she loves, the orange of her favorite fruits, and the yellow of a joyful laughter. With them she paints the walls of her house, the frames, the furniture, the floors. And in the evening she falls asleep happy inside herself. That's a really cool image. And then underneath that, I should say, there's an italicized text that says, oh, hey, everyone. Hey. Oh, wow. Cool. Quite a few people in here. 78 cards, Nicole. There are 78 cards in the deck. And I think there are 78 cards in a tarot deck. So, and it has its own little major arcana, minor arcana. They're not called that, but it's very similar. Underneath that, what I just read is an italicized text that says, find a solution that will bring success. Find a solution that will bring success. And that's what I wanted to latch on to. I also love these cards for just like, if you're feeling aimless in the day, you just pull out a card. I do that a lot. I'll pull out a card and focus on that. I'll open a book and focus on what I find. I will roll a d12 and consult the 12 virtues of virtue ethics, and I'll focus on one of those for the day. I'm goofy, but that's fine. I want to find a solution that will bring success. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just start going around this wheel. I don't want the wheel to limit me. I want it to be here when I need it. But for some reason, the word sword just has been on my mind all day. And I feel like that's a cool thing to try to focus on, an item. When I think of creating success, dropping my cards here. I'm in such a tiny space over here. Yeah, you can use the regular tarot as well. A lot of people don't like that, Nicole, but I do it all the time. So, yeah, I actually can't help myself. So that helps. So we have a sword. And when I think of success, I think of like some sort of establishment. You know what? I just got hit with something. Okay. This is what I call heart steering, okay? When you get inspired to write something, that's motivation. Hidden, concealed like it's an idea, okay? So whatever that idea is, when it hits you, that heart steering, when your heart wants to focus on that, don't say, as often as you can, don't say, I'm going to table that till later. This is the thing I want to do. Bulletin board. I was talking with Matt earlier about The Witcher and how you'd get quests from bulletin boards around the town. So now I want to start making a list of all the different places you can get a quest from. Go ahead and post any in the chat if they pop up. But I will say the NPC, non-party character in distress. What sort of source of a quest is there? Inciting incident, right? This is when something just happens in front of you and you're part of the quest, whether you like it or not. You can turn it down later, but for now, this earthquake is occurring, and so it's time to help save some people from the natural disaster occurring around you. That's just an example of an inciting incident. A library book with a mystery in it. I love that. Library book. And you know what? Let's double that up and take a mystery, like you said, a library book with a mystery in it. Let's do kind of a mystery scroll. Now, what's cool about this method is I could make that a data pad instead of a scroll and make this a Star Wars game. It's just a container for the information. Okay, a guild where you can ask for work like in RPGs. That'll be a good final one. Guild, and then I'm going to put looking for work. LFG. Okay, so now these are going to be locations in this city called Orden. And Orden's really freaking cool. Orden's got oh wow. Whoop. Orden's got a big airship crashed in the center of it. And so there's a sword involved, but there's also going to be an airship. What other things do I want to show the players in a game? What other facets of the story do I want to provide? I want to show them I want to show them the winter. I want to show them that it's cold here. I love the hooded stranger hands you a folded note and walks away. My wife is watching the Vampire Diaries right now, and there's an event where, vampires in that show can... By the way, it's proper trash. It's trash TV. And she admits it. But vampires in that story can influence you by making you do things. Kind of like Kilgrave from Jessica Jones, if you've ever seen that. They can tell you to do something very specifically in order, and then you go and do it because you're under this control by the vampire. And there's a scene where someone comes up and says, I can't remember what it is, so I'm just going to paraphrase. This person is on the sidewalk, and this new person who's under control of the vampire comes up and says, you're not going to go near this person again. Do you understand? Wait, what? Says the other person. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? And another character alerts her that, they're under this control. And so she says, yes, I understand. And the person who's under control says, okay. Looks to the right. I'm done now. And then backs up into traffic and gets hit by a car and dies. That is the most insane sort of stranger with a message event I've seen in the last week, and it felt worthy of a spot here. There's got to be... You know what? Hold up. I saw that binder earlier, and I'm going to grab it. Okay. This is my sandbox binder is what I call it. And it's just a bunch of... what's the company? I can't believe I forgot the name of this company. They're so amazing. But they're prolific on drive-through, and they have a lot of just roll tables, and they're based around certain environs. So I'm going to flip to the city once I find it here. Okay, actually, Borderland Town might work. Ooh, Town Watch, cool. Yeah, actually, let's do that. I'm going to go to a Borderland town and just kind of see if anything. Raging Swan. Thank you, James. This is from Raging Swan. Oh, yeah. I agree completely, Nicole. Monsters that mess with your mind are some of the most terrifying. I should have put the chat on the stream. That's okay, next time. Okay. So I'm not upset that I didn't have the binder ready to go when I started the stream. I want a lot of streams to be like this. I want to sit down to create and kind of show how I force myself to create. Because it is force. It's an act of force. It's an act of throwing sparks at myself, making those sparks happen, and then just latching on to whatever occurs, all while drinking coffee. So, there has to be, in underground. And I don't really mean physically under the ground. I mean gangsters in alleyways. I have already put in winter and airship and sword, and I'm going to put in let's experiment with that. The OCTC is the Orden Crossley Trading Company. They sail in and out of this port often. And I know about them, and I want to explore them a little bit more, so they go on the story wheel. Being jealous of the coffee. Dude, it's French press. Which is a little bougie, but we have a kettle that heats up the water for us. Does that make it more bougie or less bougie? If there's an electric kettle, and we don't start a fire and boil water. Probably more. There's a forest nearby called the Crimson Wood. I really want there to be some disappearances. You see how some of these are locations, some of these are themes, some of these are winter, right? An item. I have a sword here. Maybe I don't want to give another item, but I'm going to put disaster here. That earthquake kind of caught my mind a little bit, and I want to experiment with that a little bit more. So that's what we have right now. Less bougie. I can't spell bougie either. I appreciate that, though. I appreciate you taking my side, no matter what. Okay, so let's combine some ideas. The story wheel is all about combining ideas like to create chemical reactions. So when I think of a sword and an airship, and the sword is inside it's a crashed airship. Excuse me. Problem with coffee. I'm going to make it a retrieval mission. The sword might be inside the airship. And I'll just put that here. When I think of the airship and the winter, I think, and again, this is getting really involved with my own setting, but you should be doing the same with yours. It is short for bourgeois or bourgeoisie. One thing about Ankea is that all of the throughout the land there are power sources which fuel magitech that maintains the climate. And because this was a cultural area of the Sur, these what would be called dwarves mostly, but this culture of people around a tundra, who evolved around a tundra, even though the expansion of this kind of life-giving rainforest is reaching into this place, they have used the airship, the power from the airship, to create an artificial winter. And so the name of this object is called a temperatus that maintains this cold climate. Temperatus is malfunctioning for some reason. Winter and the Underground. I really kind of like that it's a criminal organization. Which is siphoning from the Temperatus. I'm going to share this with the Patreon after, so I should probably... Full sentences. Full sentences. Swear ship. We're swear ships, not airships. Wait. We're wear ships. A wear ship. W-E-R-E. Wear ship would be insane. Yeah, I like the idea that the criminal organization is siphoning from the Temperatus. I like the idea that that criminal organization, that same organization, is selling illicit Varia. Varia is the magic that is being pulled from the airship to fuel the surrounding city of Orden. I probably could have done a better job picking just like a city that didn't exist and just creating a city from scratch. But this is what my brain was latching onto, and I just got to lead by example here. That's what you should do. You should go with whatever your head's saying. Selling illicit Varia to the OCTC. Just to clarify, everyone sees what I'm doing, right? I'm combining each of these terms, each of these things on the story wheel into one. The OCTC and the Crimson Wood, they're sending, we'll say, I think they want to set up a way to pull the magic out of this magical forest. And I think that in order to do that, they would need spies in Orden and the Crimson Wood. You'll see that some of these are already pretty good plot hooks, right? The Temperatus is malfunctioning. Others are just like not yet, right? We're gonna fix that here soon. Disappearances in the Crimson Wood. That's gonna be it. People disappearing from the forest. Yeah, from forest. I'm going to write here at the bottom of this scapegoat. Because that just crossed my mind and we're going to get back to that. Disappearances and disaster. I think that quake. I like the idea of the earthquake. Cover. Oh, no. Quake covers tracks. Just let it happen. When I think of sword, and it doesn't have to be the same sword. When I think of sword and disaster, I think of a lost heirloom. Let's take a minute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dice and I'm going to roll them. I can't roll them directly on the screen. Actually, might be able to. You know what? Screw it. Let's try it. That'll be interesting, huh? Let's see. Everything but the percentile. Okay. That kind of worked. Okay, so we're going to start in the middle, right here, with the D10. Oops. This is so interesting. This may have been a bad decision, but I don't regret it right now. What? Come on. Come on. Okay, D10, rolled an 8. Next one closest is this D8, which rolled a 2. You know what? We're going to make it... Yeah. The next one would be this D6, which is closest to that one. So D6 rolled a 3. D12 here rolled a 6. D4 right here rolled a 2. And the D20 at long last right here rolled an 8. It's possible I didn't need to record the numbers, but I don't know if the sword on the ship caused it to crash. You know what? That's a so if we're holding true to the setting, which I think in this case we shouldn't, because the sword on the ship caused it to crash, is a really cool hook. I think that there's a storyline throughout Ankea, to be very brief, where on purpose this entire fleet of airships was crashed throughout the land in different regions in a ritual, in separate rituals, in order to create this power source that would fuel cities. And those cities are built around crashed airships, often somewhat like Orden. Also, bases and research facilities and other places are constructed around them. So, yeah, these tiny little dice. I am glad I didn't use the big metal ones I have. Cracking screen. But we can include that sword as part of the ritual. Lost heirloom. Part of ritual. Right? Like, it's kind of cool to think of the airship as crashing specifically into a sword. Like this mighty magical source of power, and this somewhat mundane, probably also magical heirloom. Oops. I lost my pen. Okay. So I'm going to go through here and just kind of do a little maintenance. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, good. The D4. This is the guild. It's the job you get at the guild. The D8 is the library book. The D10 is the inciting incident. Oh, I like that a lot there. Selling illicit varia to the OCTC. It's going to be a drug bust. Like, I call it a drug bust because varia is an illicit material. But in fact, I'm going to put that here. You know what? I'm going to change drug bust to sting operation. Just more catch-all. And then I'm going to leave this blank for now because I will want to save the scene for last. The D6 right here is the mystery scroll. The D20 is the bulletin board. And this is going to be missing persons, because it's on the bulletin board. So that's a sheet of paper that has the artistic rendition of a person on it, or the magical rendition, and people asking for help finding them, right? The D12 was an NPC in distress. Lost an heirloom, part of ritual. So the NPC wants... Okay. It's really interesting. What I just realized here is we have the NPC lost an heirloom that was part of the ritual, right? It was in the ship. So maybe they didn't lose the heirloom, but they want to reclaim it. Yeah, have you seen this boy? There are no milk cartons in Nkea, but have you seen this boy? But I love that the NPC wants this heirloom, and the guild also wants to retrieve the sword in the ship. So the NPC and the guild are at odds with each other, and that's something we can play with. So what we're going to do is we're going to put both of these. I'm going to do this thing where I put both of these together. This might be a bad idea to do it so quickly. And you know what? It's definitely a bad idea to do it with any other color but black, because this is the color of this story wheel. We're just going to combine these pie pieces. And we're going to call this race for the shard. The shard is the name of the sword. And I think that's it. We just have 2 more blank spaces here. So let's, just for the sake of what we've created, the race for the shard between this NPC and the guild in distress. We're going to say that maybe, you know, the sword wasn't part of the ritual. I'm going to erase that. You can feel free to erase and cross out anything. The sword was buried in a location like a vault underneath the spot where the airship was crashed. And reclaim Grandma's blade. In return, there will be an inheritance. There's an inheritance buried that will be rewarded to the characters. Inheritance reward. And little secret. Let's put a little secret here, which is that rivalry with guild. Okay, that's how we're going to connect these two. Retrieval mission. This is a no. Let's move on. Let's come back to that. I want to come back to it. The book. I like the book in the library. Library research, or you know what? Instead of just making it so it has to be in this certain place, we're going to make it research. Because that book can be in a library. It can be on the shelf of an arcane master. Ooh, the guild wants the inheritance. That's a good idea. The guild wants the inheritance. I don't want to forget that because that is a very good idea. And we're going to put that here. Knows about inheritance. I want to keep this in mind that this story wheel, I probably wouldn't use this for my prep notes. We're gonna build this. We're gonna flesh out the city later on using the story wheel, and we're actually gonna turn it into a map. Maybe these different pies will be different districts and whatnot. We'll flesh out the city using some more brainstorm methods in the future. The Temperatus is malfunctioning. Wait, nope, wrong spot. I think that there was a recently. You know what? Let's do this. Let's put some clues here. Torn pages. You found pages ripped from the book. The next step would be finding the original book. Let's move that down a little bit. So the torn pages, arcane, we'll just say Varia tips guide, right? A guide for someone. Let's do arcane guide. Yeah, and then the original book. I'm actually going to move this up again. Need a bigger eraser, right? Torn pages reveal that there's like an arcane guide, but you can't really complete the picture to figure out what this actually to build. Arcane guide to build. You can't really tell what they're building, what this guide is for building. You need the whole book. So, original book and author will reveal that it's a siphon that's being built. A siphon is specifically made to extract magic from a magical source, like the Crimson Wood, perhaps, or the Temperatus, right over here, right? And it's incredibly illegal. So that's what someone is up to, this criminal organization, whoever they are. They're selling illicit varia to the OCTC. You know what? These are connected. Let's connect these. Perfect. Oops. This is a hired job. Nope, it's not. Because it's an inciting incident. No one hired you. This is going to be, and you know what? I just kind of betrayed my own rule. I got inspired by something and I went back on it, but you know what? I'm going to go back on it anyway because I want to stick with this for the sake of the stream. Wrong place, wrong time. You're in the wrong place, wrong time. The characters are in this location, and all of a sudden the sting commences to stop this underground organization, which we can give a name. Their name will be... Let's do something super tropey for now. The Fist. This is going to be like a gunfight. And OCTC revealed. The spies in Orden and Sur Saline is going to change to the spies in Sur Saline. I said spies in Orden and Sur Saline. I meant spies in Orden and Crimson Wood. I can't remember what I said at this point. Is going to turn into spies in Sur Saline. Nation building. You know, what happens when the corporation gets as big as a country? They want to be a country. So that's their goal. That's their objective. What does the scroll have to do with it? It's a message. Message with signature. You should check out, if you can, the guided creativity for the $5 tier and above. Recently we did a guided creativity involving a message with a very powerful signature on it. And I might use that for this. So that would involve a corpse. There's a body of the person receiving the message. And it's going to be hidden box. And yeah, check out that guided creativity. Maybe we'll use that. I combined these things together. You see, now we have 3 plot hooks. Well, we have a lot of plot hooks, but we have 3 main issues in this area. And one of the main ones is that the Temperatus is malfunctioning. Clearly, it's because the criminal organization is siphoning magic from it. And what sort of tracks does a criminal organization leave? They would leave empty vials. Around the area. Around the ship, the airship, and town. We're just going to make all these blank ones clues. You know, just clues that you find around the area. Or hire on jobs. You know what? It's worth it. I love it. This is actually going to be a hire on job. Investigate these friggin' vials, these empty vials around the town. The Temperatus is malfunctioning. Let's, nice, dead bodies. They do leave dead bodies. Criminal organizations like this one tend to leave dead bodies around. We have a corpse over here. I mean, it could be another body. We're going to say that you're hired by the last levy. That's like the authority figure in this area. The last levy. And Temperatus is malfunctioning. Empty vials around the ship and town. Weather patterns would be irregular if the Temperatus is malfunctioning. So I'm just going to put that here. Erratic weather. I've decided against last levy again. I've gone back. This is okay. The story wheel can't control us. These are clues, right? Erratic weather around the area. Empty vials around the ship and town. These are clues that the Temperatus is malfunctioning, because both of those would lead to a Temperatus that has been siphoned by this criminal organization who is using this information from this book and hiding the sources of the information in order to pull magic from the Temperatus and sell it to the OCTC. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on whose side you're on, I'm going to put by the last levy here. Fortunately or unfortunately, this sting is going down. So whoever wins this gunfight will come out. Well, actually, rather, whoever loses the gunfight will be revealed, found out, if it's the criminal organization. If it's the last levy who loses, maybe they find nothing. Really depends on who the players side with. But I don't want to plan that out. I want to let the players decide in the moment. I only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. And then, of course, the OCTC has spies in Sourceline trying to gain power in the guilds, perhaps. Power with guild. I need a smaller marker here. But if people want to know, when I share this to the Patreon, if people want to know what the heck I was talking about, they can tune into the stream. And you know what? This is like a last resort. So this is kind of like the contingency plan. Of the criminal organization, or the UCTC will say it's the UCTC. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry that I did that to all of you. UCTC contingency to destroy operation. And destroying the operation will cut my crimson wood into pieces. Yep. That was not very good. That would cause a massive earthquake. It could also be, just keep in mind, I say last resort. This will be another clue. It could also be result of shoddy work, right? Whoever's doing this illegal magical stuff is not doing a very good job at it. So instead of just covering tracks, I'm going to leave Quake covers tracks, but periodically there will be smaller quakes that occur. And why are all these earthquakes happening is something that people might start wondering, and players might start investigating, especially if they're moving on the way to another location within Sourceline to finish their main quest, right? The longer they spend in this area, the more of these side quests they can do. And as you can see, a lot of these side quests have the capability of turning into main quests. Maybe the info in the book wasn't complete. Maybe all they had, maybe all that team had was those pages that were ripped out, or maybe all they had was the book. So they knew what their goal was, so they knew what they were trying to do, but they didn't have all the information, and they did it in a shoddy style. I like that idea. It also makes the criminal organization real and flawed and easy to trace. An experienced magic user might be able to track down, these missing vials. What kind of organization leaves missing vials everywhere? Empty vials everywhere. My brain is starting to reach this mode where it's finalizing. Finalizing these ideas and being like, okay, all right, yeah, you created enough. And I'm like, no, we're not done here. So I'm going to do what I do when we're not done here, which is I give up. I sacrifice my creativity and say, fuck this. No, I'm really glad I said this wasn't for kids. I just kind of search for that heart steering again. And sometimes it takes me a moment. I look back at the spot to remind myself of what I already made. I want to flesh out the guild. This is a divination guild. It's a coincidence because sitting back and just waiting to hear what you think of is sometimes a strategy for divination throughout many cultures in the world. That's what scrying is, right? Staring at a crystal and then figuring out what you feel about it. It's not necessarily looking for a oh my stomach. This is my Arctur's fault. I just got what you were saying. Oh God. Divination. It's so what's funny, what I was trying to say is that I was kind of using divination in order to come up with divination guild. And that's what made me think of it. So it's a divination guild that and that's how they know about the inheritance, because they're diviners. And they think that for them the inheritance is more valuable than the sword. And so, but they feel if they get the sword, by getting sword, they would obtain leverage over Al. Actually, you know what? Nope. What's the name of our NPC? I saw Papa Roach live. Viewers down to 0. Yep, I don't blame you. So, because I want to go to this NPC. I want to erase NPC and I want to replace it with the name of the person. And it says Arky's Val. They could claim the inheritance if they have the sword. They could have leverage over the NPC and say, "Hey, we'll give you the sword if you give us the inheritance," which clearly the NPC has no problem giving up. I like the claiming the inheritance. Oh, I did. Claiming the inheritance would be an interesting way to go about it, because people would know, no, you're not related to that grandma who had the sword, but they could. That leads me to a lot of different tracks where they could fake that I've already come up with. Sure you did, Pop Pop. Let's get you back into bed. Okay. Screw it. The NPC's name is Al. All right. Al's grandma needs a sword. Actually, we're going to make it Val, because that's what James wrote in the chat. Arky's Val. All right. Val is the name of the NPC. Over Val. And then let's finish up over here. Why are the people disappearing from the forest? Help me. This is its own isolated thing, so I'm going to put no. Why are people disappearing from the forest? There's a missing persons board, and I think that is a missing last levy trooper who was lost on patrol. Find out what took that person out. And I feel like the last levy troopers they're not necessarily related directly to like police. Instead, they're more like the National Guard in very, very small pockets of the area. Oh, the fist is testing on people. Yep. Experiments. Scapegoat natives. The natives who live in Sur-Saline will be scapegoated easily. Oh, must be the people who we, have agreed not to mess with here. Maybe they're mad that we're doing this. But in reality, it's not them. Could definitely be the misfiring Temperatus. That was actually my first thought, was that it's clearly the Temperatus that is arcing energy and killed this trooper who was checking on it. So that's entirely possible as well. Lost heirloom. Reclaim for inheritance. I hate myself. Whew, man, people are going to have a hard time deciphering this. I left a lot of this stuff blank, so I'm just going to cross it out. But, actually, it doesn't need to be crossed out, right? Because you can add stuff to it. But if I wanted to make, the numbers matter, I could say that the evens were... I could put fingerprints, right? This is not something that exists in Ankea necessarily, but fingerprints might lead from any even numbers to the next. So let's say it was in like the sting operation. The person caught in the sting operation down here would connect somehow over here. Their fingerprints might be found on the Temperatus. So, yeah. So here's what I'm going to do next. I am going to share this to the Patreon. I'm going to kind of sit for a moment in what this is. And then what I'm going to start doing is creating people and places inside this city where I can start fitting these plot hooks into, right? Where is the bulletin board located? You've been hired to check out the Temperatus because it's malfunctioning, but I don't think that someone would just approach you to hire you. I think that they would wait until you're going towards it and say, hey, while you're there, can you do this? That way, again, the side quest emerges naturally instead of in a forced way to turn it into the main quest. Hey, while you're at it, while you're traveling to that next town, can you guard my herd of aurochs on the way? If the players say no, we're not into it, then evolve your world, right? The herd gets taken over by bandits or something, and a bandit faction, the criminal organization, the Fist, they become more powerful because now they have all these wild animals constructing something for them or anything like that. So, but mostly what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to let it sit and pick it up tomorrow. And then I'm going to figure out what I see tomorrow and figure out what I want to keep, figure out what I want to add to my prep notes, figure out what I want to remove and get rid of. And I'll put up a part 2 for the next stream, and we'll keep building the city of Orden together. Because this process right here, what we just did is we just got the ideas down on the page. And that's something that's, I think that's the most important phase, is just to get ideas down on the page and then let them evolve with time and introducing them to a new mind. When I'm done creating this, I could leave this for 2 weeks and come back and see something brand new because I'm a new person 2 weeks from now. But that's it. Before I go, I want to show everyone this really cool thing. Check this out. Check it out. Wait for it. Check that out. See that? See how cool that is? I don't think anyone else saw that before the stream. This is such a shoddy stream. This Barker person didn't have the complete book before streaming. I think my mic's still working too. Okay, good. Oh, man. Yep. You could also, that's absolutely right, Nicole. You could also completely forget what it was you were working on. You could completely forget, like, what the hell was this? Val? Who the hell's Val? Val? And then you're like, Kilmer. Oh, crap. Tombstone. I want to do a Wild West game, and you just make a brand new story wheel off of a Wild West game. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. I didn't. This is what I'm going to close with. First of all, I have 5 patrons, and I haven't even launched my Patreon yet. Thank you for having faith in me and for your support, because 5 right now feels like 5,000. The second thing is every stream I'm always worried about having everything with me, and Heather gave me some really great advice, which was just to create, right? Show people your flaws, show people where you fail and where you have difficulty, so that they can understand that it's not just them, but that there are ways to work past it, right? I've got Runehammer cards here that I can pull from. I've got a story die that I can roll, and it looks like identification. Okay, so someone's identification was lost and left behind at a crime scene. Like, I can use all of these tools around me as they inspire me to create new things. And yeah, exactly. I appreciate that, Nicole. That was my goal. And so a process, not a presentation. And as I continue down the road of streams, I'm going to be, the presentation's obviously going to be a little bit better, I think. But it'll never be without improvisation. And I look forward to the next one already. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Matt, for being here. James for being here. Cassie for being here. I did share the link with AbTab. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Keel. Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you all for your initial patronage. This means a lot. And with that said, I'm going to try out this new looping splash screen. Thanks everyone for tuning in.